Moving to the countryside was supposed to be the cure. That's what I told myself. The constant noise of the city, the pressure of work, the endless faces of strangers, it had all become too much. I needed silence. I needed space. So, I bought it. An old farmhouse, set back from a winding road, surrounded by nothing but fields and a dark line of woods at the edge of the property. The realtor said it had been empty for a few years. Needs some love, she'd said with a practiced smile. Just needs someone to wake it up. The first night was pure bliss. The silence was so deep it felt like a blanket. I fell asleep to the sound of nothing. I woke up to the sound of something else. Tap. 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 It was faint, rhythmic. My eyes opened in the dark. I lay perfectly still, listening. There it was again. Tap. 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 It was coming from the wall beside my bed. 3 slow, deliberate taps. My heart started to beat a little faster. Old houses, I thought. Pipes expanding. Settling wood. A branch against the window. I checked the window. No tree nearby. The pipes? Maybe. I forced myself to relax. It was nothing. Just the house settling, and it stopped. I eventually fell back asleep. The next day, I explored my new home. It was a sturdy structure, but the walls were thick, old plaster. In the living room, I noticed a strange seam in the wall. It was almost perfectly rectangular, like a panel, but it was painted over, seamless to the touch. I ran my fingers over it, feeling a slight indentation. A door. It was probably just a repair job, poorly finished. I forgot about it. The second night, the tapping was back. But this time, it wasn't just 3 taps. It was a conversation. It started again, late. Tap. 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 From the bedroom wall. I stared at it, willing it to stop. Then, after a minute of silence, it answered itself from somewhere else. From the living room. Tap. 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 My blood ran cold. It wasn't just one spot. It was moving. The sound was traveling inside the walls. It would tap 3 times in the bedroom, and then, a few seconds later, 3 fainter taps would come from the hallway. Or the kitchen. It was like something was slowly, methodically, mapping the inside of my house. I told myself it was rats. A big, heavy rat. A family of raccoons. Anything with a physical, logical explanation. But logic doesn't work at 3 a.m. Logic doesn't stop the hair on your arms from standing up. The pattern continued for a week. Every night, the tapping. It became my whole world. I'd sit in the dead silence of the day, just waiting for nightfall, dreading it. I stopped sleeping properly. Dark circles grew under my eyes. The silence I had craved now felt like a held breath, waiting to be broken by that sound. Tap. 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 From the bedroom. Tap. Tap. A response from the bathroom. Tap. 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 A long, slow reply from the living room wall. The wall with the strange, sealed panel. Last night, I couldn't take it anymore. The fear had curdled into a kind of desperate, insane courage. I had to know. I grabbed a heavy flashlight and a crowbar I'd found in the barn. My hands were shaking. It was just after midnight. The tapping started, as if on cue. Tap. 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 From the bedroom. I ignored it. I stood in the living room, facing the panel in the wall. My heart was a frantic drum in my chest, louder than any tapping. I put the edge of the crowbar against the seam and pushed. The old plaster cracked with a sound like a gunshot in the silent house. I pried, my muscles straining, until the panel splintered and fell away, revealing a dark, rectangular hole. The smell hit me first. Not a dead animal smell, not rot. It was dry, ancient, and dusty. Like the air in a tomb. I shone the flashlight inside. It wasn't a wall. It was a passage. A narrow, vertical shaft, just wide enough for a person to squeeze into, disappearing down into darkness below the floor and up into the blackness above the ceiling. The walls of the shaft were strange. They weren't wood or plaster. They were dark, rough, and covered in what looked like scratch marks. Thousands and thousands of long, parallel grooves carved into the surface, as if by fingernails. I stared, my mind refusing to process it. And then, from deep within that black hole, from somewhere far below the house, I heard it. Not a tap this time. It was a skittering. The sound of something moving. Something climbing. It was fast, and it was getting closer. I stumbled back, dropping the flashlight. It clattered on the floor, its beam pointing at the opening. The skittering grew louder, a frantic, scrabbling noise that echoed in the narrow space. I saw something move in the darkness at the edge of the light. A pale, thin hand, no, not a hand, something too long, with too many joints, reached out and gripped the edge of the opening. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I just watched as a face emerged from the hole. It was human. Or it had been, a long time ago. Its skin was the color of old parchment, stretched tight over a misshapen skull. Its eyes were wide, lidless, and black as oil, reflecting the light like a cat's. Its mouth was open in a silent, hungry grimace, revealing rows of tiny, needle-sharp teeth. It wasn't an animal that had been living in my walls. It was something that had been put there. Something that had been waiting. It tilted its head, a jerky, unnatural movement, and let out a sound. It wasn't a tap this time. It was my own voice. It was my own voice, but slurred, mocking, dripping with a terrible intimacy. "Hello, new neighbor," it whispered. "The walls are so thin here." It started to pull itself out. The skittering began again, but this time it wasn't just in the walls. It was in the room with me. I finally found my voice and I screamed. I'm still screaming. Because I can hear it answering me. Not from the living room anymore. From the bedroom. From the kitchen. From everywhere. They're not just in one place. They're in all the walls, and now they're tapping back.